Hey vloggers, happy Tuesday. I hope y'all are having an amazing day so far. Welcome back. Sadly, this is our last vlog together, our last discussion. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to make the most of it. So let's go ahead and dive right into today's discussion, today's vlog. Let's do this. Here we go. So in class, we are reading the novel, Salvage the Bones. We're reading this book right here with a pretty cover, like a little tree. I think it's a cute cover. I love it. And let's just go ahead and get into it. Let's dive right into this. The first thing that I'd like to talk about is the huge shift of diction that we see from the very first book that we read in our class, which was Their Eyes Are Watching God, to the novel that we are reading now, which is Salvage the Bones. Here it is. Here it is. It's so pretty. I love the cover. I've said it, already like 3 times, but yeah, I like the cover. So, and their eyes are watching God. Hurston uses more informal language, and we see throughout the dialogue in the novel an older African American language compared to Ward using language that is more formal and recent. This is very, very beneficial to us as readers because it gives us a better understanding of the text that we are reading and allows us to digest it more. The tone, after all, is the voice of the story, I would really like to introduce symbolism into the discussion as my second talking point, even though this was our literary concept for the last novel that we read, which was Power. Power's over here in my little book pile, my little books for, everything. And hold up, I'll go ahead and get it. Hold up 1 second. I didn't show you that their eyes were watching God, so I can show you Power, don't I? Let's see. Oh no. Oh, there you are. Well, here it is. Here's Power. Okay, there's Power. Also, I would say I like this one, this cover, but it's a little gloomy for me. I'm more like sunshine and happiness and positivity. But I mean, it's still cute, but it's just a little gloomy and kind of it's mysterious. I kind of like that too, the mysterious vibe. Okay, let me just stop. Okay, so the symbolism that I'm going to bring up and thought was very important to talk about is between China and Ash's mother. We learn that Ash's mother passes away early in the novel due to a pregnancy with Junior. China gives birth to her litter of puppies, and we see that one of her puppies died. Both China and Ash's mother have really rough pregnancies, and we see the narrator Ash connect both of their pregnancies to one another. We see a deeper meaning to this as readers, and we understand why Ash is thinking about her mother when China is giving birth. This is bigger than we think. It is bigger, just this is a bigger thing. It means a lot more than just her dog giving birth. Her mother died while giving birth to her. Let's talk a little bit about our narrator, Esk, who is a 15-year-old girl. She is the only girl now that her mother has died. She has all brothers and no sisters. We see Esk is emotionally isolated from her family in a few cases. She has a really vivid imagination, and we see this through her referring to books that she was reading in class at school. She brings up Greek mythology a few times, and let me tell you, she lets her imagination run wild. Let me tell you. She compares characters and parts of the books that she has read in English class to parts of her life. Love and her love life are also introduced to us because she has a major crush on this guy named Manny, and Manny is one of her brother's friends, and we find out, you know what we find out? We find out that she has been hooking up with him. Yep, she's been hooking up with him on the low. Yep, she's been hooking up with him on different, occasions, like not all the time, but on occasions they have been hooking up and having sex. Okay. Yes. Okay, I got that out of the way. And guess what? He ends up being the father to her child later on. Let's talk about that. Ash being pregnant adds another problem or conflict into the mix. When we first find out that she is pregnant, I feel that we were very worried for her based on the tone of this novel. Gloomy, ominous. Okay, yep, as what happened to her mother when she gave birth in the very beginning, but I was hopeful for her in her pregnancy. She has to hide it and keep it from her daddy. This causes her to have to be, very extra careful and cautious about everything that she does. She don't want her daddy finding out. She don't want her family finding out. This is a huge secret, and she's freaking out herself, honestly. Like, she's looking in the mirror, she's like, oh, she's like, what? I don't know. I mean, like, I can't imagine how she can, how she feels at the age of 15, honestly. And the sad thing is, she cannot even go talk to anyone about it. Like, she can't go tell her daddy because she knows, ain't no telling what he would do, honestly. I mean, with him being an alcoholic, he could have, like, physically abused her, if she would have went to him first. I feel like if her mother was there, I really feel like if her mother was still alive, that she would go to her mother for advice and help. I really do. And this, not only does this cause problems, but the biggest issue that she runs into is not even her pregnancy itself or her having a baby, but the person who got her pregnant, Manny. We find out that Manny is the father, but he rejects when she tells him. She tells him that she's pregnant, and he just completely abandons her and just even pretends like it's not true. He just like, oh, you're pregnant? Oh, you're pregnant? I'm like, I'm just shoving it off of me. No, I'm just gonna pretend like you didn't tell me that. Let's talk about tone. I want this to be my third talking point. Yep, my third talking point, tone. Let's talk about tone. This novel definitely has an ominous tone because it starts out with the narrator, Ash, talking about the death of her mother. We, as readers, were also left with some suspense of what would happen to Ash's dog, China, while she was giving birth to her puppies. It really left us guessing what was going to happen next, and based on the gloomy tone that we see, we could only assume the worst. The very first paragraph shows us that China is giving birth, which leads us to think that something bad may happen to her while she is giving birth. Poverty is also introduced to us in this novel, and we see this being a conflict for Esh and her family. Esh's family lives in an area that is known for poverty. Not only is the storm later on in the novel a huge problem, but they also struggle as a family with money and poverty. We also get insight that her daddy is a drinker, maybe even an alcoholic, which could cause many problems at home. One of the problems being that his kids feel alone and neglected. This is briefly mentioned in chapter 1, but it stood out to me, and sooner or later, we really do find out that her daddy is an alcoholic and also that he is rarely home. So if he's rarely home, you know what that means? This means that his kids do not have a support system. They don't have no one to go to, no one to turn to, but, each other, basically. I find this very sad. I know he's dealing with the grief of their mom, but he should neglect his kids because there could be many consequences that arise from this. If he neglects them, he's not there for them. They might need some, advice. They need emotional. They need someone who's emotionally there for them because they are kids. After all, they at the end of the day, they are kids. They need a parent, and they need him, and they depend on him. And if he neglects them, what kind of support system do they really have? So I haven't talked about personification in any of my vlogs, so I wanted to do a little short thing about it because I thought it'd be cool. So let's talk about some personification. One thing that I saw that I really want to talk about is Esh in the pit. She treats this pit as if they were decaying bodies, and this only adds on to the gloomy tone that we are presented in this novel.